to the Rockpile Podcast, the show where journeys are told, challenges are embraced, and victories are celebrated. Touchdown! This is your platform for authentic conversations with athletes, coaches, teams, business leaders, and so much more. Every episode dives deep into the highs, the lows, and the obstacles that shape incredible stories of resilience and triumph.
Ready? Ready.
Whether you're chasing your dreams, overcoming adversity, or simply looking for inspiration, you've come to the right place. So, let's climb together. This is the Rock Pile.
There we go. It'll probably help if I bring myself on the screen. Welcome to the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch, a special edition here tonight, a new time, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Hopefully everybody just wound down from watching the Masters. And congrats to Rory McIlroy. Man, did he blow a 5-shot lead, but it was back and forth. Fun to watch. Got a great local show for you tonight. If you're just tuning in, we're going to be talking RFA baseball with Coach Evan Howard. And at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk some RFA softball as well, which I'm excited. I think the girls had a double header today. I think they played down in Clifton Park against Shenandoah and I think Gildan. I think they lost both games, but those are two really good teams they went out and played. So we'll talk to Coach Emily Cowell here in just a little bit. We'll talk to Evan Howard as well. So without further ado, I don't know if we're going to have Coach Medicis on, the stat man, but I do got Pags on. He's been waiting in the green room. Pags, what's going on, partner?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Sunday. Happy Masters Sunday, right?
Man, I'll tell you what, man. It is I caught the last like 5 or 6 holes.
Yep.
And as I'm watching it, I'm like, I'm a big Phil guy. I love Mickelson. I wanted to see some drama, and I'm like, all right, Rory got the 5-shot lead. I'm like, no way. He's got to collapse.
Yep.
And he collapsed.
Yeah. I was watching it at my parents' house as well, and I was like, uh-oh, here it comes. And then I had to come back home because I wanted to make sure I got home in time for this. And I put the TV back on and I watched the end of it. And I'm like, oof. But it was great to see. It was great to see him win. I always said I don't watch a lot of golf, but I watch the Masters. I don't watch all of it, but I do tune in. It's just, I don't know. It's we all talk about it. Like that music comes on and it's like it feels like spring is here, and it's an introduction to spring. And but watching it is fun. It was great to watch. And it never fails. The drama never fails. I mean, it's always you get to that back 3 holes, and all of a sudden the magic starts.
Corner.
Yeah, the magic starts. It's amazing. So congratulations to Rory McIlroy. I mean, he deserved it, and you saw. You can almost see it all come off his back after he put that putt in, and he just dropped to his knees, and you can just see like years of hard work and everything just come off his back. It's just like we always look at these athletes and we say you know what they're athletes and they're drama and this that and everything, but at the end of the day they're just like us, man. They work so hard for something, and then all of a sudden you see it come to light, and it's just a great moment. So.
Well, amen corner, man. 13, 14, and 50, maybe the 3 toughest holes in golf. And, as I was watching it, and in regulation on 18, I think he had like a 4 or 5 footer. And I'm thinking to myself, like, when I go play golf, and it doesn't happen a lot, like my hands like literally are shaking. I get so nervous, like when I get close. I can't imagine putting in front of all those people. And when he missed that, I'm like, Justin Rose is sitting just waiting. And Justin Rose had the best round, I think, of the day. I think he shot 66.
Yeah, I feel bad for him too. I mean, man, like you have a chance to win the Masters, and you're right there, and then it just gets taken away from you like that. It's like that's got to be tough, but
it was definitely a fun day. I'm happy for Roy. I know he was I think he was the fan favorite. I mean, the galleries were following him. I mean, DeChambeau. I think people were trying. I think they were hoping it'd be a little bit closer with him and Rory coming down the stretch. Bryson didn't play well.
No. And that's what I was watching. Like I said, I was watching at my parents' house. My parents don't really follow golf or anything. My mom was like, all those people are there to watch those guys golf? I said, yeah. And then my dad's like, how much will these guys make to do this? And so I looked it up while they were actually golfing just to see. And Winner gets 4.2 million. Second place gets like 2.1, I think. And then like I think it's like I can't remember exact numbers now. Like the 30th place finish is like I think 100,000, and the 50th place is like 50,000 or something to that.
So the
It's
winner not only gets the money, they get the you're right. I think it's like 4.2 mil. They get
it's
the green
4.2 mil.
jacket.
Yep.
They get lifetime tickets. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
like Rory can play in it now for like the next 20 years. I think he's automatically qualifies for it.
Qualified.
And then next year at the players, the dinner, he gets a
Yep.
design what the dinner is, which I think
Oh
is
really?
really cool. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
That's
one of the
cool.
thing that's really cool, I think Tiger Woods years ago when he won it, I think he had like hot dogs, hamburgers, like a cookout type style, and you
Really?
can design whatever you want. But I think what's fascinating is they show you like the menu, like all weekend, in Augusta at the event. Like a
Yep.
bottle of water is only like $1. Like they have sandwiches. Like the prices are like so
Yeah,
dirt.
the prices are really good. I've seen some of that, and like how do they keep those prices so low at Augusta? I mean, you would
I
think they
go
could
to
charge whatever they want.
I go to the Utica Aud to buy a hot dog and a drink. I end up spending 15-20 bucks.
Right.
And I can go to
Well, I
Augusta and
mean,
watch the Masters and
what
pay,
does it cost? I mean,
$2.
what does it cost to go to the Masters? I guess if you wanted to go and get a ticket or a pass to go see the Masters, what does it cost you?
I don't know. It's a good question, but
Couple hundred
hold your
bucks.
thought. We got Coach Howard on.
Yep,
Let me
sure.
bring Coach on with us here. Let's see. We don't like that view. Hold on, Coach. There we go. How we doing, Coach?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm
Good
doing
coach.
fantastic. Good to have you on. Talk some baseball here. I was going to
Yep.
say this morning, but I'm not used to doing this thing at night. Did you
Thanks
watch
for
any
having me.
golf today, Coach?
I watched a little bit, and I was doing practice, and we had some pictures and some outside work going on, so I peeked in at the playoff a little bit.
Awesome. Well, Coach, let's talk some baseball with you guys. Another season upon you guys, and I won't spend too much time on last season, but last year, you win 12 games last year. You took CNS to the wire in the sectionals. You guys fell 4-3, and you guys lose some seniors, but it's a whole new team for you this year.
Yeah, I think last year was definitely a step forward in retrospect, kind of like competing outside the Mohawk Valley. We had a big win over Beeville. We did beat CNS in the regular season, and we were, like I said, 3 outs away from defeating them there in the quarters. So you want to take much from a loss, but we built off that this year. I think the guys are hungry. We did lose some big pieces from last year's team. But got some guys who are really ready to fill those spots, and some young guys. I think they're going to be pretty impressive as well.
And Coach, that TVL last year, and I think just about every year has been tough. I mean, Utica, New Hartford, Camden was good last year. You guys are right up there at the top. How tough's the TVL?
It's a grind every day. Obviously being one of the larger schools in the TVL. You're most likely going to get the other team's best pitcher on that day. They're trying to come after the big schools, so we got to be ready every day. We can't sleep. We can't let your guard down, and you got to go play every game. Like it is. No matter who the opponent is in the other dugout.
And Coach, sometimes you got teams that come back with inexperience in a young team, and you got to rely on a couple veterans. This is more of a senior led team for you. A lot of experience back.
Yeah, we have 10 seniors on this year's team, so there's a lot of leadership from that. But it's kind of the funny part. We don't have a huge junior class, but we have some sophomores who are really going to play some big parts. And I know we've only played one game, but those guys really showed out in that one game so far. So I think it's a good mixture of some upperclassmen, but some younger guys, some youth in there as well.
And Coach, who are some of the guys this year? Some of the younger guys that we'll be hearing a lot from this year.
Obviously, the 2 guys you're going to hear a lot about is Dante Sprace. It's going to be his 3rd year behind the plate, and he's only a sophomore. I mean, so he's stepped up as far as his play on the field, but just his leadership role. I mean, he's still only a 10th grader, but he's a 3rd-year player. Braden Meeks, who we brought up halfway through the year last year, he's just a spark plug at the top of the lineup. He just finds the way to grind out at bats, base hits, bunt singles, walks. And then he gets on base and he just runs the bases wild. I don't like to give green lights to many guys, but he definitely has it. He's a guy that just sets the table. He brings energy, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But like you can't deny the way he plays the game and the amount of energy he comes with. So those 2 guys are from last year's squad. And then we got, Mark Barone, a 10th grader, as well as Nick Malarzo. those guys are both going to play a lot of time on the infield. So those are some exciting young pieces to mix in.
Yeah, I was just saying the other day, I said, if you're a baseball player in New York State, why the hell are we still here with this weather? We don't get outside enough. And I'm like sitting here saying you guys are in a gym, and then all of a sudden the season starts, and before you know it, a blink of the eye, the season's over. It just goes so fast.
It was funny because, obviously right there in winter break, we got hit with all that snow, and I'm thinking we're never going to be outside. And then it went quick.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to have quite a few days over at Accelerate, but at Accelerate, we were outside probably 5 or 6 days, which was probably ahead of schedule years past. But then you get set back with a week like we just had. We play a game and then we go inside for 4 days. So it's tough. It's a grind, and that's what we talk about on the team about, grinding it out and staying positive, because like you said, baseball in the Northeast is not the easiest.
And Coach, how tough is it sometimes for the younger kids that come up? I know you got an experienced team, but how tough is it for some of the younger kids that don't have a lot of experience coming up when they get a chance to play?
It's tough because, like you said, these guys, it's gotten easier, I would say, the last couple of years, because a lot of these guys are playing competitive travel ball, so they're seeing some good pitching. They're seeing, higher level play, as opposed to some farm leagues and things in the past when that was the only kind of avenue for summer ball. But definitely, making that jump from JV to varsity is just huge, especially like you said, the pitching velocity coming at you, your reaction time, and just the way things happen in the field. Things are so much quicker. But like I said, the young guys that we have, and even some of those juniors, the new players, they've grasped on really quick. They're quick learners. So I think the transition is going to be smoother than maybe in other years.
And Coach, talk to us too as the head varsity coach at the lower levels. I think you guys had like 45 or 46 kids that tried out for the modified level. So that's really good numbers. So you got to be pretty happy with the program numbers.
Yeah, the numbers have been really good. Like you said, we're one of the few schools that still do have 2 modifieds. Up until 2 years ago, we still had a freshman team. And I think we would still have that freshman team for a lot of those 9th graders who maybe just weren't ready to make that junior varsity jump. But the thing with the 9th grade team is less and less schools have it.
Right.
So we were traveling out to Syracuse and playing the same 3 or 4 schools 3 or 4 times. And it seems like every year a team would cut down, and now you're down to only 4 schools that had that freshman team. So it was making it tougher and tougher to even try to schedule 12 to 14 games for that group of kids. So that was tough. But the fact that we still have two modified programs, unfortunately, we did have to make a few cuts even at the JV and varsity level. You never want to do that, but the fact that these kids are coming out is good. I was just talking to some neighbors. They say the numbers at the little leagues are booming. So I think baseball in Rome is in a good spot for a few years to come.
Coach, what's going to separate this team from last year? And I know we talked about the experience, but what's this team bring that last year's team might not have brought?
I think this team's lineup from 1 to 9 is complete. There's not an easy out. I think with Bobby Jock and Mikey Catalinato, those 2 guys are our top 2 horses. They did it last year as juniors, as being kind of the ace 1A, 1B of the staff. So those guys are going to be a year stronger as far as is just having experience. Both those guys have gotten bigger and stronger, which is obviously showing on the field. And like I said, we have a couple other pitchers that, I've stepped up in the off season. I think this is the first year I have 5 guys, Rock, on my team who are okay calling themselves POs, pitchers only. And that's never happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's always the guy like, oh, I pitch and I play first, or I pitch and I do this. And it's like, these kids have bought in. Like, they understand what their role is. I got 3 or 4 of those POs. They know they're just a relief guy, but they come about their business every day, just like everybody else. They put their work in, they go through their arm care. They have separate programs that they do, but it's like, these guys have bought in. So I think that alone, we talk all the time about, knowing your role, doing your job. Kind of our slogan this year is clean your plate. So what that means is finish the job. Whatever you take and start, finish it, and that's kind of what we're trying to build all the way down through. So, we're going to finish what we start, and that's, these guys have bought in. And like I said, I just think the mindset so far has been really, really good.
Coach, I know the non-conference schedule, you'll play some good teams non-conference before you get into league play. Talk to us a little bit about some of the non-conference teams.
Yeah, we go actually tomorrow. We have a home opener with New Hartford, and then we go on the road to Shaker, who have a couple Division I kids at Shaker, And then we also have Colony coming in on Good Friday, who's always a battle. And then you mix in some CNSs and some Bvilles in there. And like I said, that non-conference isn't really a slouch. They've kind of changed the way with the sectional seedings. Years before, you were always seeded based on your league schedule, so you could get some of your reserves in the game and some of those non-conference games. And that has now changed. I know it's been a few years now where non-league games is just as good as league games, so you can say, well, it's a non-league game, but you still got to go out and win it, right? Because it's still going to affect your sectional seeding and your sectional, place. So there's no nights off. You can't, like you said, sometimes you'd like to empty the bench and give guys, extra at bats, but you got to go out and try to win every game because, like I said, it comes down to sectional seedings.
Well, you kind of answered my next question. I was going to say, I know it's nice to get off to a good start, but it's also nice to play good late in the season. But really and truly, from what you just described, there's no room for slow starts, right? You guys got to get off to a hot start and just keep playing good baseball.
Yeah, and I was, like you said, we played a week ago Friday up there in Lowville, and even though they're a Class B, I think the last 2 years they've been in the sectional final, so they were no slouch, and I was really impressed just based on the temperature, how we hit the baseball. The ball was just zinging off our bats. I think we had 13 hits, and not a single one of them was a blooper or an easy hit, and then we probably had 6 or 7 really loud outs, so I was really happy with that. I was kind of disappointed that we had to go back inside. I wanted to keep those bats churning, but hopefully they're ready to go for tomorrow and 4 games this week.
So, Coach, what's this team got to do to make a deep run to not only get into sectionals and make a deep run through sectionals?
We just got to believe, right? We got to believe we have the guys. It's not that we don't have the power or we don't have the skilled guys. We have guys just like your CNSs and your Bvilles and your CBAs. It's just getting over that hump, and like I said, last year we made strides. We had a couple nice non-conference or non-league wins. And like you said, we were 3 outs away from moving on to the semis there at CNS. So we just kind of got to get over that hump. I think the kids are starting to believe in and buy in. Like you said, you bring over some experienced guys from the basketball team as well as the hockey team, and those guys have had some postseason success. So I think that, just being able and being in those situations and winning in some of those big games, I think it's contagious. So obviously having some hockey guys and some basketball guys, I think is going to help us hopefully get over that hump when sectionals come.
We definitely had a good winter season here in Rome, and hopefully we'll be able to carry that over here to spring with all the spring sports for sure. But Coach, you're always fun to talk to. I appreciate you taking time on a Sunday night here, not in the morning. So good luck to you. I'm sure we'll see you on the diamond.
I appreciate it. I was hoping there'd be a Mets question, but we got no Mets talk today. Okay, I see they won
are Yankees. And I think Coach Medicis is Yankees too. I'm waiting for him to jump on, but he was at AAU, so I'm not sure if we're going to get him tonight.
I'll razz him tomorrow at school. So, hey, guys, I appreciate you having me and look forward to it again.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Good luck, Coach.
See you guys. Thank you.
There you are, Pags. I got you.
All right.
But, yeah, he's done a good job. Coach Howard's done a good job, and I know when we talk to Nick all the time, we always talk a lot about the youth sports.
Yep.
And one thing that's really nice about the youth sports, as I was obviously talking to Coach, is they got good numbers at the lower levels.
Yeah, those numbers that he mentioned, I mean, those are great numbers. I mean, and to talk about even the Little League, that's what I guess it was good to hear that he's tuned into the Little League because that's really where it all starts. I mean, those kids are going to, if you can build the interest in Little League and then those kids come through, that's going to make your program so much stronger. I mean, we've obviously seen it with the basketball program. I think that's the key to success, and I think that's why Rome sports have been good throughout the years because they build those feeder programs. Get kids interested early on, and then they continue to develop throughout. So it sounds like he's got some really good players in there. I mean, some of the names I recognize from hockey. I think Spirace was the goalie for RFA, if I'm not wrong. So those are great athletes. I mean, so it's nice to see because a lot of these athletes sometimes you see. Hockey players and basketball players who kind of we've talked about this before, where they stick to one sport. It's good to see that they're venturing off to the other sports because it's good for them. It's good for the kids and it's good for the entire school. Honestly, to see these kids out there playing.
Baseball just goes so fast.
It really does. Like it really does. I mean, I'm helping out with Modified for Westerland. It's like we're in the gym and we got one team from Modified lot of kids, and just being in the gym and you just pen up, and you can tell the kids just want to get out there. And the weather doesn't look great, I don't think, for the coming week. There's some snow in the forecast, I think. So before you know it, you're into playing games already, and then the season's over. Early June is usually when it's over. So you really have, if you're lucky, probably a good month to get the games in, and it's tough because then you start getting rainouts and everything, and it's really tough here in the Northeast to get the baseball games in, which is why you see a lot of the teams head out to Myrtle Beach, head out to Florida to get some games in before the season starts. A lot of these teams have done that in the past. I know Proctor did it this year. They raised some money to get down to Florida or Myrtle Beach or wherever it was. But it's hard because it's a lot of money to raise to get the teams to go out there.
Well, listen, if you're a baseball guy in New York State, it's got to be really hard. And I think of like the Tyler Schaffs of the world, who we've had on the show numerous times.
Yep.
That's in the minor leagues. I mean, there's been guys from this area that have floated around playing single A ball, even with the Diamond Dogs, Pete, where you're at. And I say to myself, like, if you want to play baseball and you're from New York State,
Yep.
I don't know how you make it.
Well,
you don't play enough baseball.
Well, I think that you see a lot of these teams play in these AAU type circuits where they go off and play in other places, because you have to. I mean, you can't just if you're just going to stick to playing ball in New York State.
Yeah,
you're not going to get enough. Yeah, there's no way. I mean, and the thing is that we have some facilities here. We're lucky where you have Accelerate, you have the Elevate, and then you have, I don't know if it's still open, but the one that was in Herkimer that the coach for the Herkimer Generals had for a while. He had a hitting facility down there, and a lot of kids put a lot of time in those things. But that's the thing, like Tyler Schaff and those guys who have made it from this area. If you're really dedicated to it, you want it bad enough, you'll find opportunities to play. And that's what you have to do. I mean, you got to go out and find places to play, and unfortunately for a lot of kids, that costs money, right? I mean, if you're gonna get involved in these travel teams and stuff, it makes it. That's what saddens me a little bit about some of this stuff is, like, you have kids who are great athletes but come from homes who maybe cannot afford the extra money, and they want to play school ball, and those are the kids, I think, that don't have the same opportunities because to fork up the money to go play travel ball for some of these teams, for some of these families, it's a lot of money. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
you have your kids involved in a lot, and just even not even being in the travel stuff, just being in some of the local stuff, it adds up. It adds up.
Well, I was just saying the other day to my son, because he'll be on one of the modified teams here in Rome. So I
Yep.
think their first game is like May 3rd or 4th. They play Notre Dame at Notre Dame, and then it's literally like the month of May. They play
Yep.
like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and 3 games a week. You're done
Yep.
in 1 month.
Right.
And that's barring, no rainouts or
Right.
anything
Because
like that.
you get a week of rain, and that moves, that gives you 3 games, so you have to reschedule somewhere.
Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
happen, right?
it's just brutal. And then it's not one of those things where you get a week of rain and then you have a good stretch of good weather. It's you know how it is around here. It's
Yeah.
either it's all or none. It's either you're gonna get some great weather for a couple weeks, or you're gonna get rain for a bunch of weeks where it's gonna hamper the season. And it's tough because it hurts the kids at the end of the day. I mean, you can only try to reschedule so many games, and the double headers don't. The kids don't get it. Whenever you get into a doubleheader, you lose game time. You don't make up those games, really. I mean, you might play a doubleheader, but you're not getting the same amount of innings out there. Especially with some of the new rules for modified. I've been hearing that they're trying to keep the games to about 2 hours now, which is good and bad. I mean, some of the modified games that I've been involved with are brutally long. But at the same time, you need these kids out there playing ball. I mean, that's where they're going to learn. The game experience is where they're going to learn. And I think some of these umpires are vouching for 2-hour games, and there's a 5-run limit now, I think, per inning, which again is good a little bit because I've been involved in some games in the past where it's gotten out of hand. But at the same time, you're limiting the kids' opportunities out there too.
So while we wait for Coach Emily to jump on and talk some RFA softball, we got a little bit of time. I want to get into Nico, the quarterback from, I guess you can say, his old team
Former.
in Tennessee,
Right.
former team. was looking at $4 million. And, I guess tip your hat to Josh Heupel and the university saying, there's nobody that's bigger than the team. I
Right.
mean, don't
Good
get me
for him.
wrong. He was I think, an average quarterback for Tennessee last year. I think a lot of expectations for him, coming in for Tennessee, another year in the program. And now I'm hearing that Ohio State, of course,
Right.
that has the money, Ohio State, Oregon, and I just heard Colorado are three of the teams potentially interested in his services. $4 million. I don't think he's going to be the only one, Pete. I think we're going to start seeing this trend.
You're going to start seeing more
players.
of it.
They're pro athletes.
I think you're going to start seeing more of it, but good for Tennessee for saying no, right? Because I heard the same thing when I heard about it, and I started seeing it. I'm like, where's this kid rank? I think he said that he was the sixth best quarterback in that league. So they probably said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. And plus, I think the way it was done, the day before, the day of spring practice,
yep.
That says a lot about that kid. I mean, unfortunately, other teams are going to go out and go after him. But good for Tennessee for saying no. And I just wish that other teams will look at that and say, you know what, maybe this is not the type of kid we want on our team. But it's not going to happen that way. There's going to be a team out there that's going to be willing to give him the money. He's going to get what he wants. But I think that's what you need to do. You need to have more and more teams that just say no to this. I mean, I just saw something for Duke. I mean, the Knippel kid. I think someone offered him $5 million to go somewhere else, and he said no. He's staying at Duke. So good for him. But I mean, the landscape that we're in right now, I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, I think what started this is I heard something that Tennessee got about $8 million in NIL money. So he basically said, well, I want $4 million of it. So I mean, do you blame the kids for maxing out how much they up in the ante?
Somebody's going to pay him. Ohio State's going to pay him $4 million.
Right. Someone's going to pay him.
He's going to get his money, and he's going to be. I think there's going to be more of these guys that you're going to see that they're not college athletes anymore. It's pro sports.
No, it's pro sports. But I was having this conversation with a bunch of friends this past week at work, and I was like, what do you do? Do you set a salary cap, which I think is a good idea, right? But at the same time, setting a cap, does that hurt the big schools? I mean, a school like Alabama and Oregon who has the money, right? Do we just say, you know what, we're not going to set a salary cap, go out and get as much money as you can for NIL, and then what will happen is you're going to end up having, just like society, right? You're going to have the upper class, the middle class, and the poor. And it's like, well, you know what? If you create that kind of system, then you're going to have the best of the best in the upper class playing against each other and beating each other up and going after the money. You're going to have the middle class, which is probably like a Syracuse, right, where they can't get as much money as in Alabama, but they're going to dominate the middle class. And then you're going to have the lower end teams who just can't raise that kind of money, and they're going to do fine in their area. So I go both ways. Like a cap kind of levels the playing field, but does it really? Does it really level the playing field for, if Alabama if Alabama has the same money, can bring in the same money as a Syracuse, right? Is it really a level playing field? I still think Alabama, has the advantage because that money that they can't spend in NIL, they're going to spend elsewhere. They're going to improve facilities. They're going to do more things at their facility to lure those kids to Alabama. So they might not get it in NIL money, but they might say, "Well, come to Alabama because look at the facilities we have here over Syracuse." And so I think it's the same thing. You're still creating that society system of, the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class.
All right, hold your
thought.
thought.
No different in football.
Because I got Coach Emily waiting to get in the wings here. She's probably saying, we don't want to listen to you guys talk football here. Hold on. I got to change these settings around because that doesn't look good. And we got to get you. There you are, Coach. I got to get you front and center. Never mind college football talk, right? It's softball, baseball time. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm not used to doing this thing at night. Normally, these are done in the morning, so I appreciate it because you probably just got off a bus not long ago, right? The long day today at Clifton Park.
Yep. We were out playing two top teams in the state. We faced off against Shenandoah and Guilderland today.
We'll get to that part in a minute, but let me just start with yourself. I know you've been involved in the program. This will be your first year as the head coach, taking over for Coach Jerry, who I always laugh because when I get him on this show, I barely get any words in because he just always talks and talks and talks. So this is gonna be a little bit different. But what's different about you compared to taking over for Jerry, and what's gonna look different?
I think the biggest thing is just I love Coach Jerry. He's a great role model for me, great coach. The guy really knows his X's and O's. But I think the difference between me and him is, I was the girls, a decade and a half ago. So I know exactly what they're feeling. I know exactly what's in their mind. And the thing that I take the most pride in as a coach is I feel like I have my thumb on the pulse of the team. And I think the biggest thing is just relatability, probably.
So, Coach, last year, this is a team that won 11 games, but it's also a team that I think they only lost one senior off of last year's team. So I think you guys bring back a lot of juniors and seniors. So it's an experienced team. And similar to Coach Howard, I just said, he's got a lot of experience this year on the baseball team, similar to you. So coming in your first year as the head coach, I know you've been involved in the program, but how much does that help?
Oh my gosh. I keep saying this to everybody that's been talking to me about this is I feel like I've been handed a silver platter and it's my job to take it and do the right things with it. Honestly, we've got a very talented team. We're not short for talent. We're not short of experience. It's just a matter of taking all the pieces and being able to put it together at the right time in the right way. And we're going to get there. I can promise you that.
And Coach, last year's a team that, they made it all the way to the semifinals and ran into a really good Liverpool team. And again, similar to baseball too. I keep saying the non-conference schedule. You guys playing the TVL with the non-conference schedule. You talked about the two games today against a really good Shen team and a really good Gilderland team. So that gives you guys a lot of experience coming into the season. Talk to us a little bit about that and how much it's going to help you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I said this to the girls before the games today. I said, don't feel sorry for yourself. We're getting on a bus for 2+ hours to go across the state to play two amazing teams that are going to set us up for this conference play. We've got a big game, and we hope to make a statement tomorrow against New Hartford. Actually, against a former co-coach of mine. I coached with Dan Stalteri at Herkimer for many years. That guy's like a father to me. He's known me since I was a kid. He's seen me play as a player and early in my coaching career. So it's going to be kind of a bittersweet moment. I'm going to give him a hug before the game, but then I'm going to put my blinders on and we're going to go to work. But but no, I'm excited. We learned a lot today. Shen's an awesome team and man, we hung with them for the whole game. Just a couple of unfortunate plays and a couple of times where we were trying to produce where it just didn't go our way. But we hung with them. And, they're the last 5 years, I'm pretty sure they made it to the state Final Four the last, 4 out of the 5 years. And to drop only 5-2, I think we can hang our hat proud on that one. And Gilderland, again, they're an awesome team. We lost in that game too, but we saw so many good things. We had a lot of power and potential in the circle today. That's super promising because, you got to have a good battery in order to win softball games for sure. So I'm excited. I think we're ready to go. And I think the TVL is going to be surprised to see us.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the TVL. I mean, you got Camden a year ago, I think, won 20 games. I mean, Whitesboro, New Hartford, I think they each won 15, 16 games. I mean, Notre Dame, Pags, your alma mater, I think they won 15 games. And then CVA, who I think they won 13 or 14 games. So everybody in that conference is really good. So it's a really tough schedule from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I take that as a blessing though, because the worst thing that could happen, and I've experienced this as a player, when you have your conference games and you're blowing teams away and you feel like you just don't have the competition all season, and all of a sudden you get to the postseason and you get spanked. So I take it as a blessing that we get to see adversity from the beginning of the season all the way through to the end, and it just sets us up for good postseason play. It just gets us prepared. We get to see some adversity. We get to see how our team handles adversity. And, we've got a lot of talented teams in the area that are going to do some really good things on the softball field. And it's going it's going to really be awesome to see how we match up against it.
I think if my math is right, you might have 10 girls out of 12 on your team that are upperclassmen. I think you got 4 seniors, right? 6 juniors on the team, and I think a couple sophomores, if my numbers are right. But talk to us about some of the girls, some of the names that we'll be hearing throughout the season. And is there a couple girls, that you would say, wow, they're coming in with expectations, but if I guess you can say that, is there somebody that's unexpected that you're really looking forward to seeing how they perform this year?
In all honesty, I I come in and my thought process is everybody's got a clean slate. This is the first year of our future. And coming in as a new coach, I want the girls to know that, your experience is great, but every single year, every single game, you got to show up. There's players that have, started every single game their entire softball varsity career for us. And if they don't produce, there's people chomping at the bit behind them. We've got a lot of great players. First ones off the top of my head right now is our first 5 hitters. These last 2 games have really showed up. We've got Kennedy Campbell Jr., center fielder, leadoff hitter. She's a slapper. She's a tough out, man. There's nothing she can't do. She can drop a bunt. She can do a soft slap in just the right spot, get it stuck in that Bermuda Triangle. She can hard slap and punch it past the infield like nobody's business. And if I want to, I can have her swing straight up from the left side or the right side, and the girl is fast. You can't bobble the ball and expect her to get out. You got to be perfect on defense to get that kid out. And then behind her, we've got Lex Thompson, senior, shortstop. The kid can absolutely play. There's not an aspect of the game where she has much to improve on. After that, we've got juniors Haley Bostwick, transfer from Whitesboro. Coming off a very unfortunate injury last year. She had an ACL tear after the basketball season, so she missed out on her sophomore year with us last year. So coming on as a junior, she's got tons of potential, lots of power, and that kid's a gamer. She doesn't back down. She's a fighter. And she's the type of kid that can play anywhere. With having her on the roster, it's really made it so that way there's no holes in our lineup, and we can move a lot of things. We can have her play third, play second, play short. I mean, she went behind the plate for us in game 2. The girl can absolutely play. And, having her in different spots allows us to put other players in different spots, so, we're getting a lot of good experience out of that. After that, we've got Mac Howard, catcher, stud catcher. I mean, geez, she threw out 4 steals today from Shen softball, and they stopped stealing because she just kept gunning them out. And, that's huge when you can keep them at first base. That's huge. After that, we hit Soph Tosti, and I've never seen a person, let alone female, hit a ball as hard as she does. And I've coached in college. I've seen and coached with men's softball, men's fast pitch softball players, and she hits the ball hard. After that, we got a lot of really stud utility players that can just play anywhere. They can hit the ball hard. They can manufacture runs for us. This is going to be a really exciting season. There's a few kids that I think are going to really get the chance to step up this year. One that comes to mind right now is senior Chloe D'Amico. She's a type of kid last year where she sometimes she was on the bench, sometimes she was on the field. She was kind of waiting her time, and I'm giving her opportunities, and she's doing really good things with it. So I'm excited to see what she does. Barbara Ciotti, another one, is kind of very similar to Chloe, kind of on the bench, off the bench last couple of years, and she did great. She was a pinch hitter for our first game, and then ended up having a great at bat. Started our second game at first base and did some really good things. So, I said to the girls, I was like, I feel like I could just roll the dice and we would have a good lineup. Like, so many of you can play in so many different positions. It's the most amazing problem a coach could have.
I was just gonna say those are really good problems to have as a coach. To kind of just roll the dice and pick names and put
I'm
them
looking
places.
at my lineup. I'm like, how do I not get this kid in? But how do I not get this kid in? Like, there's not enough spots on the field for all of you. It's just so good. So, I'm excited. It's good because if one of our usuals isn't having an on day, then I know that next person in line is going to be able to get the job done. And so I'm really excited.
And coach, to get back into the sectionals and see this team make a run, what's this team have to do to make that run as the season goes on?
100% the entire game between the ears. Number one, they have to believe that they belong. They have to believe that they belong, that they are going to win. They can't walk into any single game and think that it's going to be a loss automatic. They got to go in knowing they're going to win, producing the win, and walking around with a little chip on their shoulder. And, like today we played Shen. We're watching them warm up and the girls are going, oh, man, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. And I'm like, girls, you're pretty good. I don't even think you realize how good you are. So I think it's just gaining that confidence and actually believing in themselves. That's going to be the key to our success or our demise. I keep telling them, I'm like, the only team that's going to beat you is you. 100%. If each and every one of us plays our best game, there's not a team in this state that will beat us.
And coach, it always comes down to pitching too, right? In any sport, pitching and playing some solid defense. I know you talked about some of the fielders, that you have. But talk to us. I know you got a couple pitchers back from a year ago as well that are pretty good pitchers. So can you talk to us a little bit about those players?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got we got more than 3 pitchers, but we've got 3 pitchers. A lot of our girls in their past have pitched for us. But 3 stud pitchers, and the beautiful thing about them is they all bring something a little bit different. We got 2 juniors returning. Maddie Safin is a junior returning for us. Maddie's that type of kid. She's a little bit like a Greg Maddox, where she's got great spin, great movement, and she hits her spots. She doesn't throw the ball 65, but she doesn't have to, because she's able to work it. She's able to work the count, and she's a bulldog. She's a believer. Then we've also got junior Sophia Iglesias Tosti, that number 5 hitter that I was telling you about that hits the ball really hard. She's built different. She's a tall, strong kid that throws the ball hard. And not only that, but when she believes in herself and she trusts her grip, she can spin it really, really well. And then after that, we've got actually some future. We have a freshman, Amelia Szymanski, on the team that actually went out and pitched game 1 against FM for us and went 5 strong innings, threw a bunch of strikes and held them back. And she's got a lot of promise. She's young, she's lean right now, and over time with some experience, with some more coaching and a little bit more practice and experience at this level, I think she's going to be a real bulldog for us to get some outs. She's another one. She's got speed, she's got spin, and she's got a change of speed that's pretty good.
Coach, I had to put up, Coach Beer said, ask her how her car is.
Thanks, Beersy. All right, so I'll tell you a little story. I don't mean to be a little bit too much like Coach Klaczynski talking too much today. I'm going to try real hard not to.
No, that's the fun part. That's what makes these things great.
So this morning I had a car full of equipment, and the last 2 days I ran over a bolt, and my tire had a bolt stuck in it. And last night after practice, I was like, I got tons of time. I got spare wheels and spare tires in the garage. And one thing you can know about me is that during COVID, my COVID project was learning how to work on cars. So we went out and bought a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I've done so much work on that thing. It's just always something I've wanted to learn how to do. So I had some spare tires and I put them on last night. They were fine. They're old tires, but I was like, it'll get me a couple of weeks until I can get a new set. On my way to school, I don't know how it happened, if I didn't torque the lug nuts correctly or if they were just off balance, but my driver's side front tire fell off.
Goodness.
Fell off. Like the lug nuts got lost between
goodness.
My house and the school. I just saw Jerry. He goes, hey, no, I talked just the right amount. But anyway, luckily I've got really, really good parents and good friends and good neighbors to help me out. Got me help. And we jacked it back up, got the tire back on, put some new lug nuts on it, and I drove it home. So we're good.
Well, you got me excited. I've never met you before. I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of the coaches in Rome and in the area. And I reached out to a bunch of the guys to see if I can get your number to get you on. So I really appreciate you taking it, especially after a long day for you to come on get home, jump right on with me and talk some softball. So I really appreciate it. And
No
we'll be
problem.
around to some of the games to cheer you guys on.
Sounds good. I look
Awesome.
forward
Thanks,
to it.
Coach. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right.
You
All
got
right.
it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We lose you?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was all of you or just me, but apparently my connection dropped.
You know, I was telling her just about before you dropped off was I would run through a wall for her. I don't even know her.
Me too.
And I was
Yeah.
sitting there saying to myself, man, oh man, she's got a lot of energy, a lot of pep to her. I really
Yeah, she
like the
does.
fact that, you know, as a new coach taking over, you know, you got to be yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I really liked how she said, you know, she's going to be herself and everybody's got the fresh start. And, you know, if somebody's not playing well, it's next girl up. Right.
Yeah, sounds like she's got a great group, and it's going to be a fun season for those girls. They got the right person at the helm, and even she referred the coach Jerry, and it's nice to see that she still has that connection with coach and learning from him and taking the program and running with it. So good for her. I think the girls are in good hands for sure.
Yeah. It's always nice though to walk in. And when I walked into Sequoia my first year, I had a senior oriented team. It's nice to walk in with experience, you know, what players that have been there before. They've been in those tight games. They've been in those big non-conference games. That always helps a new coach coming in. Now she's been with the program, but it always helps your first year to come in with some experience.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I'll tell you what, opening up with, you know, non-conference today, playing Shen and then playing Guilderland, those are two really good teams. And that Tri-Valley, just like talking to Coach Howard, the Tri-Valley for softball is really good.
Yeah,
There's not a team that's going to be a slouch team. They're going to be really
No.
good, and they're going to get challenged out of the gate tomorrow.
Right, and games like today is what's going to make them better. Like you said, these are the type of games that are going to make you better for the rest of the season. And you know that, like you said, like to have those teams that are good in that league, um, is going to make them better throughout the year too. Because if you're beating everybody, like you said, if you're beating everybody up, it's going to get harder throughout the season to get motivated, and then you're going to slip up and play sectionals and lose a game that you shouldn't. So it'll keep them on their toes. It'll keep them ready. And again, I think they're in a great spot, and it's going to be exciting to see what they can do this year.
Well, Pegs, we said watching college basketball and really in any sport, defense wins championships.
Yeah.
And even in softball and baseball, you got to have pitching and you got to be able to make plays behind you. And it sounds like
they
they
can't
got a pretty
score, they
good
can't
team.
beat you, right?
That's right. That's right. So I was hoping we would have got Medicis on tonight for a little bit. I got to see what happened. The stat man might have retired. I got to see with the stat man, but this 8 o'clock thing, man, it doesn't feel natural because we're so used to doing it in the mornings.
It's a little different, but you know, it works well for our schedules because, like you said, like kids everywhere running us everywhere ragged. To make that 9 o'clock, 9 to 11, it's tough. There's lots going on between 9 and 11.
But if it's a way to get the gang back together and you know, talk sports, we'll do it. So tomorrow night I got Jim Tracy's going to join me. It's a whole new thing beyond the game tomorrow night with Jim Tracy. He's the co-founder of Legacy Communications. He's the author, speaker, and host of the Grampian podcast. So this will be a completely new set of series of interviews that'll be coming up. They'll run about every 2 weeks. So we'll debut that tomorrow night right here at 8 o'clock beyond the game on the Rock Pile. So, Pags, it was good to have you back on tonight. We'll do it again next week.
Fun as always.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to watch some baseball this week and our kids will be able to get outside and play. And
I hope so.
See if I can get up to watch some RFA baseball and softball this week. My daughter, I know, loves going to watch, so we'll see if we can get up there and watch some of the games.
Yeah, it's always good to catch a baseball game. Even I like catching the local stuff here at Westmoreland. It's always fun to watch the boys and girls play.
So hopefully we'll be able to get out and watch some games.
We'll see.
So.
We'll see. We'll be shoveling snow, but we'll see.
Anything is better than that. I can tell you that much. I just put my snow blower away today, so maybe that's the jinx, and we're going to get like 3 feet of snow. But
amen, man.
I hope not. But all right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep, sounds good. Have a good week.
All right. So I want to make sure. Let me get rid of that. I don't like. There we go. I want to make sure I thank both coaches. I want to make sure I thank Coach Howard and Coach Emily for coming on with me tonight to talk some RFA baseball, some RFA softball. Both Both teams set up to have really good seasons, so make sure to get out and watch both teams. Support all your local teams and the Mohawk Valley Sports Watch. I can't thank everybody enough for following the show. This is weird doing it at night, but if it's a way for me to get the guys on and talk some sports, we'll do it. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night. I go beyond the game right here on the Rock Pile. I'll talk to Jim Tracy, a whole different type of series of interviews that'll run over the next 2 weeks. I'll be shooting to do maybe 2 or 3 shows of those per month, so make sure to tune in. And as always, on behalf of the entire Mohawk Valley Sports Watch, Coach Pags, Coach Medicis, the stat man, and myself, have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Mohawk Valley